I never imagined that my simple act of kindness would change a boy's life forever. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It started as any other Tuesday, but I never could have imagined how strange and twisted the world could really be. The rain poured down like a torrent, drenching the streets and fogging up the windows. I could feel the heaviness in the air, a silence so thick you could slice through it. That day, I found myself on my usual route, mindlessly walking home after a long day at school. I spotted him Ben. A boy about my age, with tousled hair and eyes that were far too old for his youthful face. He sat alone on the curb, soaked to the bone, his small frame trembling. I felt the tug of something deep in my chest. It was the type of curiosity that wouldn't let go. I approached him cautiously. His gaze flickered up, surprise mixing with something darker, fear, maybe. I crouched down beside him, the asphalt cold and hard under my knees. "Hey, you okay?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. But his eyes told a story, one I couldn't quite grasp. There was a weight to him that felt heavier than the rain. His lips trembled. Just waiting for my mom," he stammered. But she didn't come. Time dragged on painfully slow. Every second felt like a million. That face so full of hope yet so devoid of it, pierced straight through me. I reached into my backpack, pulling out a granola bar. "Here, you look like you could use this." I handed it to him, my fingers brushing against his. It felt electric, like the world had paused just for that moment, but as he took the bar, I noticed something flash across his face, melding surprise with a glimmer of something darker. I couldn't understand it then. I could hear the distant honking of cars, muffled voices all around us, but it felt like we were sealed in our bubble. I could still see the tension in Ben's shoulders, a secret held tight. He opened the wrapper slowly, hesitating as if it were a treasure he never expected to receive. But when he took a bite, I saw the momentary flicker of joy before it vanished, anxiety quickly creeping back in, dampening his spirit. I wanted to ask about that look, to reach deeper, but something held me back. Something felt wrong. Suddenly, I heard a voice from behind us, sharp and demanding, shattering our moment. "Ben! Let's go!" A woman shouted, her face twisted with worry. The world rushed back in, the sounds grew louder, vibrating around us. For a heartbeat, I caught a glimpse of panic in his eyes, and then he was gone. Just like that, whisked away into the chaos of the rain and the crowds. As he disappeared, I felt a pang in my chest, a connection severed. Who was that boy? What haunted him so? Did I just change the course of his life with my simple gesture? I held my breath, the air thick with questions I couldn't answer. That moment lingered, a haunting whisper in my mind, teasing. The more I thought about it, the more my heart pounded. The world feels like it's brimming with secrets just below the surface, and I want to know them all, especially his. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The days that followed felt heavier than bricks, each one reminding me of that rainy Tuesday when everything changed. I couldn't shake the images from my mind, Ben's trembling figure, his startled eyes, and the way something pivotal shifted when we connected, however fleetingly. My routine had become a series of half-formed thoughts swirling in a fog of worry. I began to observe everything around me with a strained focus, searching for him in the crowds, hoping for a familiar glimpse of that haunted face. Weeks turned into an eternity. I found solace in small moments, a smile from a classmate, a shared joke with a friend. Yet nothing seemed to lift the weight settling deeper in my chest. Every time the rain came pouring down, I found myself staring out the window, remembering the way it soaked through Ben's clothes, and the tension in his posture as he sat there alone. Then came a day under a clear blue sky. The sun poured warmth over the pavement, a stark contrast to my disheartened spirit. I sat on a bench at the park, shrouded in silence, feeling the world buzzing around meth laughter of children, the chatter of parents, but not a trace of the boy who clouded my thoughts. Just as I decided to give in to resignation, the unexpected cry of a child caught my attention. Across the grass, a little girl knelt beside a fallen bird, its tiny wings quivering that in a heartbeat. I rushed over. "Hey, it's okay," I said gently, kneeling down next to her. The girl's eyes were wide, brimming with concern. "It's hurt," she whispered, barely able to contain her emotion. I felt that familiar tug in my heart, a memory of Ben flashing in my mind, the silent worry etched into his features. Together, we cradled the bird, bringing it to a nearby makeshift sanctuary formed by volunteers who cared for injured wildlife. The girl's small hands trembled as she placed the creature gently into their hands. "Will it be okay?" she asked, hope hovering between her words. The gently smiling volunteer nodded, a kindness that fell like gentle rain. "We'll do our best. Sometimes, hope is all they need." As the girl departed with her mother, I lingered, hoping to catch a glimpse of Ben's own fragile hope that had been lost in the smothering weight of worry. I wanted him to know that kindness existed, and even small actions could shape someone's life. But a date with inevitability loomed on. Impending sense of dread settled over me. I found myself wondering if my gesture that day had merely been a drop in an ocean of despair. Days morphed into routine, yet still, I searched for him. I skimmed through the neighborhood, each corner feeling charged with potential yet laced with disappointment. I even asked around, but no one seemed to know him. Just as I was beginning to believe I had dreamed him into existence, an unexpected encounter peeled back another layer of anxiety. One evening as I was wandering home, lost in thought and veiled by shadows, I spotted a figure in a dim alleyway. My heart raced, recognition igniting my pulse. Ben sat there, his back pressed against the brick wall, his knees drawn to his chest. A fleeting expression passed over him, relief or wariness. I couldn't tell. That I took a timid step forward, the moment stretched between us like taut string. "Ben," I called gently. His head snapped up, meeting my gaze, the flicker of recognition sparking in his eyes. "You remember me?" I don't know," he stammered, shifting uneasily. The hesitation in his voice shot through me like an arrow. There was a heaviness in the air, a silence wrapping itself around us like a veil. "What do you want?" he asked, bracing himself for a confrontation I had no intention of bringing. "That I just wanted to see how you were doing. You disappeared that day." I stepped closer, desperately searching his face for answers. "I gave you that granola bar." He flinched at my words, a flicker of longing mingling with something darker. Don't talk about it," he whispered, his voice trembling. "You don't understand." "Then help me understand," I pleaded, my heart echoing with the weight of his words. I felt the air crackle around us, heavy with emotions unexpressed. "You can trust me." A storm of confusion and conflict swirled within him. For a moment, it felt like the world had narrowed down to just the two of us, the noise of life swirling away. Around us, the city bustled on, but in that alley, we were suspended in a moment fraught with uncertainty. Then, suddenly, he pulled himself to his feet and took a step back, shaking his head. "You don't know anything about me. You shouldn't want to." As I opened my mouth to protest, to assure him that all I wanted was to understand the depths of his pain, he turned and was gone before I could utter a word. I felt my heart plummet as I reached for him, my fingertips brushing empty air. Where had he gone? Why had he retreated? Was it something I said, or was there something deeper at play? I stood frozen, the alley now cold and devoid of life, the warmth of our brief connection evaporating like the final rays of the sun. In my heart, I sensed shadows gathering, secrets unresolved, and the urgency to pull back the layers of Ben's life weighed heavier than ever. Just as I turned to leave, a flicker of movement caught my eye. There, half hidden in the shadows, lay a worn piece of paper fluttering against the wall. I picked it up, my breath hitching in my throat as I unfolded it, revealing scrawled handwriting that made my head spin. It was a plea cry for help, but it was signed with a name that sent chills rippling down my spine. Ben's sister, find the truth before it's too late. The weight of impending revelations pressed down upon me, questions sparking like fireflies in the dark. What truth had to be unearthed, and what was it that loomed over Ben's life? I felt the embers of my heart reignite against the looming shadows, ready for whatever twisted path awaited me. The air felt electric as I stood in the dimness of the alley, the slip of paper heavy in my palms. The message swelled with urgency, pulling at emotions I barely understood. Ben's sister, a name I had not heard mentioned in the brittle moments we shared. I turned the paper over, as if hoping for more clarity, but it remained silent, revealing nothing but that insistent plea. A whirlwind of uncertainty tugged at my thoughts. Had I stumbled onto a puzzle far bigger than I ever anticipated? As I made my way home, the world around me transformed into a blur of monochromes, my mind racing through a labyrinth of possibilities. What truth was Ben hiding? Was his sister a source of worry or comfort? I was acutely aware that the fragile sense of hope I had grasped during those fleeting moments with him now morphed into an achea yearning that demanded to be addressed. Days passed, each one peppered with moments where I imagined Ben's hopes, fears, and the drastic measures he might be forced to take. I tried to seek solace in my routine, but every laugh among friends felt hollow, a reminder that Ben was still at the heart of an unknown storm. And as the dark clouds gathered overhead, I couldn't shake the feeling that time was slipping away, mounting onto more than just my own confusion. Then came a chance encounter that pulled me, yet again, deeper into the mystery surrounding him. I was in the library, absorbing every scrap of information related to mental health, the intricacies of family bonds, and the myriad struggles that could lead someone to feel trapped. Just as my research began to bear fruit, a familiar face emerged from the maze of tall shelves. It was Lucy, Ben's sister. Her presence caught me off guard. She stood there, a foot or so away, a mix of emotions etched across her features. Might I know you?" she asked hesitantly, her eyes darting between curiosity and wariness. "That I am a friend of Ben's," I stammered, my words catching in my throat. "I saw him in the alley before, but he left before I could." I trailed off, unsure of how much to reveal about that haunting piece of paper. There was a flicker of something deeper in her Gaussian understanding that ran beneath the surface. "You're one of the few who seem to care about him. Most just walk on past," she said quietly. "But it's complicated." "We can talk," I offered, scrambling to bridge that gap, threatening to swallow her brother whole. "I want to help." Lucy's features softened slightly, yet her lips pressed together in a tight line, as if she was debating revealing a burden she had carried alone for too long. "You really should tread carefully. Ben has been through so much. I don't want anyone else to get hurt, please," I urged, feeling the ignition of determination. "I found this." I pulled out the paper and handed it to her, my heart racing. She read it in silence, her brows knitting together in evident turmoil before she handed it back. "Ben's been plagued by guilt ever since." Her voice trailed off, the weight of her unspoken words settling heavily between us. "He thought he could fix things. But sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you end up breaking instead." "What happened?" I pressed gently. I needed to understand the darkness that surrounded them. This wasn't merely about Ben anymore. It wasn't just about a boy cloaked in silence or despair. Her eyes flickered with fear, a flicker that was swallowed by the shadows in the library. I can't talk about it here." "Then let's meet somewhere safe." "Please," I pleaded, feeling time slip through my fingers again. "He needs you, and whatever burden you both bear, you don't have to carry it alone." Lucy's gaze searched mine for sincerity, and in that moment, I felt the walls around her crumble just a little. "Okay. Tomorrow." But as she turned to leave, I caught a glimpse of a glimmer of apprehension mingling with her resolve. "Just be careful," she cautioned, her voice trembling. "There are things you don't know, things that could really hurt you both," and then she disappeared into the labyrinth of shelves, leaving me standing amidst a cascade of questions. My heart pounded with urgency as I tried to sift through my emotions, excitement mixed with dread. What awaited me in the morrow felt monumental, and shadows of uncertainty threatened to overtake the flickering light of hope, but as I left the library that day, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was one step closer to uncovering the truth, yet at the same time, walking directly into an unknown abyss. I glanced back toward the entrance, the weight of Lucy's warning swirling in my mind. Deep down, I knew we were teetering on the brink of something profound, and the sense of impending revelation sparked a mixture of dread and hope in my heart. Would I be prepared for what I would find? Would my simple act of kindness indeed change a boy's life forever, or would it lead to unraveling something that was better left untouched, deeper and darker than I could ever imagine? With every breath, something inside me urged forward toward Ben, toward answers, toward whatever lay just beyond the horizon of tomorrow. The sun hung lazily in the sky the next day, casting a warm glow that felt oddly out of place with the turmoil spiraling inside me. My palms were sweaty and my heart thrummed in my chest as I waited on the park bench, the familiar yet jarring sounds of life moving around me like a loud backdrop to my quiet dread. Lucy had been specific about where to meet, an open space where the tensions could dissolve amid laughter and playful shouts. But I couldn't focus on the joy around me. The laughter felt like an echo of everything distant, everything I longed to bring Ben closer to, yet feared could slip further away. Moments passed, though it felt like hours. My mind swirled endlessly with images of Ben's face, his soft smile transformed into a frown, burdened with guilt. I gripped the edges of the wooden bench, fighting against the tide of worry creeping into my chest. What would Lucy share? Would it be the key to saving him from the darkness? Just as I began to doubt whether she would come, I saw her approaching slowly, her expression a stark contrast to the flurry of life surrounding the park. There was a heaviness to her gait, the weight of unspoken truths pulling her shoulders down as she approached. Her hair fell around her face, briefly obscuring her expression, but I noticed her eyes. They reflected a universality of fear and resolve that matched my own. "Thanks for coming," I said, a small comfort offering itself in the tremble of my voice.